If my voice shakes, this is not something I normally do. But I could not ignore it. I felt, as I was listening to so many people talk through these hours, that I felt that I needed to address the many levels of testimonies that I heard hours today. And I felt that I had a voice from those many levels. I am a mother. I was one of those who, as far as social status, wealth, education, I can address those. I married not the same way that I was raised, and I immediately married undereducated, and I was impoverished. And so I can address the whole social structure because of my life. I cried when I was told at the doctor's office that I was pregnant, and I thought, I don't want to go home and tell my now ex-husband that I was pregnant. When Mother's Day comes around, I send my son a thank you note. That because even though it has been very hard, and I do suffer heartbreak, I do not have my son that I wanted. But I have found that because of him, I grew up. I had to become a more compassionate, unselfish person. That's what our babies do. They push us into a maturity and a strength that we were built to have. Don't undermine us women. We have a strength in us that men don't have. And part of that strength is to hold the heartbreaks of whatever may come. I have a sister who had to bury her baby at a very young age, and basically she was strong enough to say, this is going to not sit well with people, but I don't care. If the Lord wants her, he can have her. We are built in our humanness to have great times and to suffer and overcome the heartbreaks that life deals us. I don't think we have a right to stop that part of our human equation. You can't stop the mathematical logic of our lives in our humanness. And I have taken a logic class, and I'm not doing well with it, but I think my life and what I've had to go through qualifies me. And if you take out some of these premises to make an argument, what you're basically doing is you're deciding for us what qualifies life. Because when my child saw me at a suicidal state because of what I've had to endure in a bad marriage, my same son kept me going. Our children are precious. They have given us songs, they've given us books to write, they've given us movies to make. And some of them come out of the hardships of babies that were born without limbs, and the parents knew it. And so many times the doctors make a mistake, and those babies are born healthy. I know because I've heard about them. Who are we to decide the outcome? I don't think we have that authority. You don't know if that doctor was wrong. And you don't know the mother who needs to go through the natural process. We just had a doctor up here. Look, I'm not young. We just had a doctor up here, and they will tell you all the steps that a person has to go through with a grieving process. And we cut it short by just eliminating a problem. We need to go through a grieving process, and then we can hold hands with someone else and say, I know I've been there. Because that's just normal in life. We are born, we die. That's a normal process, and I'm sorry, I'm not engaging your attention, and I know where you're all persuaded. I cannot not say something. I've gone through all of this with the poverty, and I can tell you something, I didn't hear numbers. I only heard scenarios. Now you're hearing the equal argument. You're hearing a scenario. You're not hearing my numbers, because I didn't come here with this. But I can address all of it. And just because you're impoverished doesn't mean that your life is ruined. I was impoverished, I married it, but my life was actually, I send my son on Mother's Day a thank you note telling him all the time how he made my life rich, even though there was poverty. That's the real wealth. And I think the real wealth is our humanness in being able to connect and not just eliminate a problem. We have wars, we expect people to die. It's just a natural process. If we cut out the natural process, where do we draw the line? We have suicides among teenagers unlike ever before. I remember when I was in high school, if somebody committed suicide, the school grieved for years. Now it's become a common thing. We've become very cold-hearted. How can we expect to make decisions for other things? We've become calloused and too intellectual. And I think it's to our demise. But I'm sorry, I think this is a really good argument. I was up at Brown University and I had a chance to talk to somebody who thinks that our intellect and our evolutionary process has also brought us into a lifestyle I don't agree with. That's progress? No, it's not. And I think our intellect is cutting off our humanness. Our children are going to die anyway, and some of them die before us, and that shouldn't be. But it happens. That's just how life is. But I don't think we have a right to cut off the process of being humans and seeing the bad and the good, the tears and the laughter.
Okay, I think you made your point.
Thanks.
Are there any questions for this witness?
Beautiful piece of artwork that I did, and that was inspired. I worked at a place called The Brass. I've worked and gotten a paycheck from people who were born with brain damage, injuries, and Down syndrome. They have their studio. I was able to be a part of it. They have their store. Some of them have been vendors, and they serve at the veterans' home. Come on, this is life. These are valuable people's lives. And they're working in these very key places, and they're serving, they're making money. They gave me a paycheck.
Okay,
They've had me laughing. Life is very valuable. Just because it's going to impede on our selfishness. We want a better life, and we want to cut them out.
I think you've made your point. We have a lot of witnesses to hear from after you.
I wish that you would hear my point and consider it.
I'm certain you made your point, and I will consider it along with everyone else's.
Those lives are valuable.
I understand. Are there any questions for this witness? Thank you. Ma'am?